And welcome to the Writer's Life, place where we get to sight, sound, smells, taste my particular writer's life. So how is everybody? I haven't been on in what seems like forever. Because it has been forever. It's been like almost 2 weeks. But having a good excuse. First of all, I had like nothing really to talk about. I've kind of gone back to like doing the essay thing on not only like, hey, essay, essays, writing on Substack. Even though I'm kind of putting up some oldies but goodies and updating them. But I'll get into some new stuff too very quickly. But mostly it's because I was finishing my first like plus 60,000 word huge novel in my small world that I've written in a long time. Most of my novels these days are between 40 and 55,000 words or something like that, which are short novels, I guess, but that I would hand over to Bear Media, right? And the people I work with for that. But lately I've been focusing more on the traditional side of things, signing contracts and whatever. And this is a novel I fully intend to have published traditionally. And the novel, of course, I'm talking about is the one I've been serializing on Substack, the noir novel, hard-boiled novel, that I'm calling Alive on Arrival, at least on Substack. That's what I'm calling it in first draft form. So if you want to check that out, go over to my Substack. And I think for $5 or something, you can get like half the novel right now in first draft form. And by that, I mean I write it, I go over it, run it through the IA editor, and then I get it up there. The hell is this thing? Customize. You can customize now. I'm not touching anything. So I really needed to focus on that. And at the same time, I'm putting together The Slender Man, which is a new Jack Marconi novel. That one will be for Bear Media. And that I'm hoping to get that out soon because Down and Out's going to be putting out one of the first two novels. I contracted with them probably in February or something like that. Anyway, I'll be hearing from them at the first of the year. And I have a new agent. It's not like we haven't done anything official, but like, I've known him for 25 years and, I'm going to work with him. But so Alive and Arrival, I'm changing the title to Dead Baby Dead, which I like better for a variety of reasons, especially in terms of noir. But I had to really focus on it. And this novel, unlike some of my other novels, isn't just like a one draft, go over it, it's done kind of thing. It'll be similar to that, but I am going to it doesn't need a comprehensive rewrite. And if you read what's available on Substack now, you'll see that. And in fact, I think it would ruin it if I did a comprehensive rewrite. But I am going to, cross my T's, dot my I's, and all that stuff, make sure everything is in play, because there's going to be more professionals involved in this transaction. So who will the book go to and for how much? I don't know, but it'll go to somebody, some lucky publisher. So I really had to finish that. And then secondly, my main computer for writing, like I have like a cheap one that sometimes I take on my adventures overseas and stuff like that. I'm not talking about Italy. That's like my second home. So, but anyway, but like if it's going to get banged around and all that sort of stuff, I take that one. But then I have the expensive Livono ThinkPad that like weighs almost nothing. It's like, it is a wafer thin. And it just like stopped. It stopped. It was still working, but like I couldn't even turn it off. Like the system was working, but like there was nothing. It was marked. And so I was like, I might have to chuck it out. And like everybody's like, oh yeah, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. And so just to prove there is honesty in this world still, I talked to a computer professional. My guy that I've had for like 18 years just left, just up and I hope he's not, speaking of Mort, but I hope he's not. But he would, I still owe him money, and like he just no billing and doesn't answer his texts, doesn't, his website seems to be down. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I wish him the best. Um, anyway, so he was unavailable. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? I really don't want to dish out another $1,000 for another computer, especially when this one, even though it's like 3 years old, I've hardly used it. And so, no, so that was out. And this is the computer I use because it's a much better processor. This is the computer I use for like for the writer's life on YouTube and for, to edit my website when I don't have the webmaster do it. Also, it's got more power to it and all that sort of stuff. So this is the one I use. I was like, oh boy. Anyway, but I talked to this guy. He's like, dude, it's gonna cost you like $400 to pay me to fix your computer. And he's like, all you need to do is unscrew the back, take the battery out, put it back in, and it's gonna be fine. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. Sure enough, I had my son Harrison standing next to me, so I didn't fuck it up. And he doesn't know much about hardware either, but he knows more than me because he's half my age. And I did exactly what he told me, and boom, the thing came right back to life immediately. I was really proud of myself in a techie way. I was like, really, like, wow, I accomplished something that I never imagined I'd be able to accomplish. Now, I come from a family of contractors, construction people, and I moaned and groaned every day I had to go into that place to work, whether it was in the field, digging dirt, operating in filth, ruining my lung, like whatever it was. But in retrospect, I'm glad I did it because I built up a bunch of Social Security money, which when you get to be about my age, you start thinking about. So anyway, make a long story short, this guy was really honest. He could have like taken me for $300 or whatever, but he was just really honest. So in the future, I'm going to use him for my business if I'm living here, which I doubt. But anyway, and then the third thing, I had another treatment for the lymphoma thing, and like I said, they've been going great, and I'm almost done. I got 2 left, and it doesn't seem to affect me very much, except for my taste buds get wacky like the first few days afterwards and stuff, and that, like if you drink orange juice or have some chicken or something, it kind of, it just makes you off, right? But otherwise, like I can drink beer and whatever. So my buddy calls me like this past Sunday or Saturday. I don't know what it was. He's like, "Oh, I'm at one of our favorite watering holes. Let's have a beer." I was like, "Okay." So I go down there, and I'm not sitting on the stool beside him like more than a minute. And he's like, "Oh man, I'm just getting over the stomach bug that's going around." I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna get that," because I'm immune compromised right now. There's just no other way to put it. I got so many things running through my body that if I have so many things, that my body's working on other things. It's not worried about a flu or a cold. You're going to get that if it's around you. Now, you can't hide inside for the next 7 weeks or whatever it's going to be until I finish this stuff. So, but you do have to pick and choose where you go and who you spend time with. And so for like 3 days, I was in like lower GI pain. And I was like, I can't. And like, going back to bed and like, oh my God. Thank God I work for myself because I would have very much pissed off my employer, who at this point in the late date in the game would be like, all right, when are you going to be done with this thing? Right. So, so there was that. And And like I said, in general, I was like, I got to give it a break. And also, I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with this next year. If I'm going to change it to the Vincent Andrews show and have more guests, concentrate on more guests who do lots of different things in life, because it's all part of the writer's life. And but we'll see. Um, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can tell. I don't want people thinking like this is just a show for writers, because it's not. It's a show for everybody, for readers, for people who have nothing to do with writing, you know. So in any case, time will tell. How about that Bitcoin, huh? A little bit of a downturn. I hope you bought. I hope you saw it as an opportunity and bought more. I know I did. I used the rent money. Oh boy. I read an interesting piece about this dude. I'm not going to even remotely give you a hint of who it is, but he was a writing teacher. And like he says in his piece, like, oh, I no longer teach or whatever. And like, he's like, I just taught very part-time, and I did it so I could stay home with my kids or something like that. And I'm like, you're full of shit. You did it because you had to, because you weren't making any money. It just fucking cracks me up the way people are so dishonest with themselves. But maybe in retrospect, that's the way he looks at it. He's an old dude now, but I remember like when I got out of writing school, I was like, I'm gonna have to teach, because the writing money wasn't cutting it, and this went on for like a year where I was like searching high and low for a writing gig, teaching gig, right? And you know what? I didn't want to teach. I just did not want to teach. If you're going to be a teacher, all right, this is for writers or would-be writers or whatever. If you're going to writing school because you're like, well, I'm never really going to make enough money as a writer, if they've already convinced you of that bullshit, because they were trying to convince us of that back when I was in writing school in the mid 90s, that you're never going to make money from this, so you better teach or learn basket weaving or something like that. And it's total horseshit. You can make really great money being a writer, professional writer. And I've done very well. I've made, well over $1 million just in advances alone, and that doesn't count freelancing, journalism, or any of that stuff. So I just haven't had a movie produced or TV, not yet. I admire all my friends who have. What about me? I was passed over. Not yet. It's coming. I know it is. I got somebody on it. Anyway, but there was a time right when I was out of college, writing school, that is, graduate school, where I was like, you know what? Fuck this going after teaching gig thing. I went into this to be a professional writer, and that's what I'm going to be. And within the year, I had a 6-figure contract, and I've never looked back. Never looked back. Despite the fact that there have been times where things have been dire economically, but I still stuck to my gun. I will admit, on 2 separate occasions, I did go back to work with my dad. 2 separate occasions for a few months at a clip, much to his chagrin. And the second time around, he fired me. He's just like, because I wasn't even showing up, and he's like, dude, you're a writer, go be a writer. And, that was a good thing. Those were my only, but I had even an excuse for that at the time. I was married again, and we had a new baby. And it was just, we got strapped with this huge house and this nice section of town over here, which is something I did not want at all. I didn't want the white wedding. I didn't want to get married at all again. But me being me and being weak when it comes to domestic affairs, that's what happened. So nobody put a gun to my head. So I can't blame anybody but myself. But we did get my daughter out of it. And that's a cool thing because she's terrific. Very talented, very much like me. I don't mean that, I'm not saying, she's much more talented than I am. I guess what I'm saying is, out of all my kids, she's the most like me. Very stubborn too. But you have to be stubborn to be in the arts and make it. It just, it just reminds me, like, do you have the balls to stick it out and make it as a writer, a real writer, without, I mean, like, to make it financially as a writer. And I'm not talking like you have family money hanging around so you can just write whenever you want, and like, that doesn't count. Or I'm not talking about the wife makes the money or the husband makes the money, and that affords you, like, I can just write whatever I want when I want to write it, and whatever. That doesn't count either. I'm not talking about teaching. Doesn't count. I'm talking about fucking, you're making words up and you're getting them out there, and people are paying you for the privilege to read your books, and you're making enough royalties and or advances um, to live a nice life. And I'm talking a nice life like you're not stuck at home scraping up the rent. I'm talking about, you're visiting different countries all the time, or living in Italy part of the year, and your quality of life is way up there. You might not be making the money like a dentist is making, or an oncologist, right? Or a divorce lawyer. Nobody makes what a divorce lawyer makes. But your quality of life is such that if you want to sleep in on Monday morning, fuck them all. You can do that. If you want to go skiing Monday, which I think I'm going to do because it's starting to snow, I'm going to do that. If I want to go fishing, if I want to just get in the Jeep and take off for a month and, I don't know, go to Vermont for a month, I could do that. February 19th, I'll be wheels up for Italy for 2 months. And then come the fall, I'm supposed to go to Mongolia, China and Mongolia on the Trans-Mongolian Express. If for some reason I can't get that one in this fall, I'll do it next fall. But anyway, that's the plan. And then from there, I'll go back to Italy. And I don't know when I'll come back, but we'll have to see. But I'm talking about that kind of life. Can you do that? Do you have the balls to stick out the bad times in order to enjoy the good times? It's up to you. Sometimes when you're pinned up against a wall, you can't, they say flight or fight. You have no choice but to fight. And that's a real writer. When you're like up against the wall, you're up against it. And you need to write right words to make your way, to have a good life and to be financially solvent, if not secure. I'm not saying I haven't dug into my line of credit in the past, but I will say this: I've dug into my line of credit for assets. So to me, I'm just borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and Paul's going to pay me back in the long term, and my family back, my kids and their kids and whatever. So I hope that makes some sense to you. Do you have the balls to make it as a writer? I'll probably write an essay on that. None of this like, oh, well, I was just teaching just to, like, so I could stay home. You're full of shit. Nobody teaches if they don't have to, believe me. Or if they teach because from the get-go, I love the written word and I want to teach it to students. It's a noble profession. Listen, I totally get it. But nobody goes into this nobody goes to writing school wanting to be a teacher. They go into it because they want to be a world famous writer like me. You know what I mean? That's all I got. Merry Christmas, everybody, and ciao, ciao.